Hello guys, welcome to a new video. I'm gonna talk about a very special camera in today's video. So the camera that I'm gonna talk about is a really nice compact mirrorless camera from Sony. This camera can shoot full HD video. In terms of photography as well, it is pretty good. And it is a very good camera when it comes to vlogging, cinematic videos or making such YouTube videos like I do. So the camera I'm gonna talk about is Sony Nex F3. It is a very compact camera. This camera was launched in 2012, so it's almost 10-year-old. But despite that, the kind of results that we can get from this camera are simply stunning. If I talk about the technical specification about this camera has a 16 megapixel sensor and it's a crop sensor camera. It has the same mount as you find in other Sony APS-C mirrorless camera or the full frame camera. So you can use all the Sony full frame lenses or the APS-C lenses that have the E mount on this camera. When it comes to the ISO performance, this camera has a ISO range from 200 to 16,000. So it is a very good performer when it comes to low lighting situation. When it comes to the frame per second, this can take 6 frame per second images. So it's a decent camera when it comes to some sort of action photography. So if you have your kids playing at the school, you can do some kind of a shoot with this, even though this is not the best camera when it comes to sports photography, but it will do the job. If you talk about the weight of this camera, it is hardly 300 gram. Very lightweight and very compact. It has a 3-inch screen, even though it is not a touch screen, but it does the job. The resolution is pretty good on the screen. Using these buttons, it is very easy to navigate and change different settings. The dynamic range on the camera is also pretty decent. It is not the highest when it comes to dynamic range. It has a 12.2 dynamic range, and this camera also have exposure bracketing. So using the exposure bracketing, you can take multiple exposure shots and later on combine them in Lightroom to make a really nice dynamic range image. So that is one really good feature that this camera has. Beside that, this camera also have a flash. Most of the camera in this price segment don't have a flash, and this is similar to the flash that you find on Sony a6000, 6100. You can tilt it like in any direction, so you can like tilt it like this and then bounce the flash off the ceiling to get a nicer photo, because if you fire the flash directly at someone's face, then the photos don't look so nice. Now let me show you how this camera looks in close-up. This is how this camera looks from the front. It doesn't have much buttons on the front side except for this shutter button. It's a very nice compact camera. It's very lightweight and it's almost smaller than your hands. And then over here you have the on off switch, and then you have this red button to start and stop the recording of the movie, and you have this play button over here, pressing which you can see all the photos that you have taken. Then you have this button to open the flash, and the flash can be rotated in any direction. You can bounce it off the ceiling as well. And then over here you have this dial, so you can rotate this. It will increase the shutter speed, aperture, or whatever values you want to increase. Beside that, you can also press this. If you press it sideways, you can move towards this side. You can also press it this way and this way. It acts almost like a joystick, and it also have a button in the center as well. Beside this, you have this button over here and this button over here. This one is for the menu, and this serves as a OK button. And from the bottom, it is over here we put the SD card. So you put the SD card here. So that is one better thing about this camera, because many other camera have the SD card inside this battery door, but in this case the battery is pretty big and nice. It will last you for a lot of photos and pretty long video as well. Overall, nice camera, and the build quality is also pretty impressive and very lightweight and compact. And here you can see the name of the camera. Now I'm gonna talk about the video aspects of this camera. So this camera can shoot full HD videos up to 60 frames per second. So 60 frames per second gives you really nice sharp footage, And this camera also have a fully flip out screen, so you would be able to see yourself when you are filming. So it would be very easy to frame yourself in the shot. And since this camera is very lightweight, you can just simply hold this camera in your hand. You don't need any extra tripod like gorilla tripod or some kind of a stand. You can just hold it in your hand, you can walk, and you can do really very nice vlogging. And since you would be close to the camera, so it would be able to capture your audio quite clearly. Now the only downside this camera has is the lack of a microphone input jack. So you cannot connect an external microphone in this camera. So that is the only downside when it comes to this camera. Beside that, I like almost all the features in this camera. When it comes to autofocus, it tracks your face very smoothly. The autofocus is very smooth. It doesn't hunt like crazy. It doesn't make a focus noise. It is very smooth, and it is always able to track your face. So it is very good when it comes to making such kind of a YouTube video. If it had an external microphone input jack, then it would have been one of the best camera you can buy in the market. But unfortunately, this camera doesn't have it. Now I'm gonna put onto the screen some of the sample photos that I've taken with this camera, and you can see for yourself the photos look really nice and sharp. I used the 18 to 55 kit lens that came with this camera, and the lens have optical stabilization in the lens. So because of that, you would be able to get really nice and sharp photos even at a slower shutter speed, or if you are holding the camera in your hand. So it is very important to have this optical stabilization, especially if you are using this kind of a camera which do not have an EVF, because when you are using the EVF, you can hold the camera onto your face. It gives you slightly more stability. But even despite that, this camera can take very nice sharp photos, and the colors and the contrast and the overall image quality directly out of the camera looks pretty nice. All these photos are non-edited and JPEG and straight out of the camera, and I really like the way this camera took the photos. Now I'm gonna put onto the screen some of the sample videos that I've taken with this camera, and you can see for yourself how the videos looks like. So this is the kind of video that you can get with this camera. Right now I'm using the 18-55 kit lens that came with this camera, and the video footage is really good. Even the autofocus is very snappy. Let me try to focus somewhere else on the video. So now I'm going to try to focus on these leaves, and you can see how quick the camera is in grabbing the focus, and the focus is very smooth. The focus transition is so smooth, it doesn't do much focus hunting or any focusing noise. So this is a really good camera when it comes to video making. The autofocus performance is also pretty impressive in the video, especially if you are doing vlogging kind of thing. Then it tracks your face very easily and smoothly. Had it had a microphone input jack, then this would be the best camera in the market. Now let's talk about the price for this camera. This camera you can get for around $100 or sometimes even lesser, depending on the deal that you can get. Sometimes you might get this camera just for like $80 or around maybe sometimes for like $60. So if you can get this camera for anything around 100 or less than $100, then this is a very good camera for you to buy. Can you use this camera still in 2022? Well, that is for you to decide. For me, I feel this camera can shoot great videos even in today's era, and also it can take nice decent photo. If it comes to like a camera which you want to use for like travel photography, since this is very lightweight, this would be a perfect camera if you want to do some travel photography. Right now the lens that I'm having is slightly bigger, but if you are using some smaller like pancake lens like the 24 lens, then this would be a very compact and lightweight combination for you guys. And for less than $100, if you get this camera, like this is a no-brainer. You can go for this camera. You can use all the Sony lenses from the mirrorless world on this, compared to like the M series camera like the M100 and M200, this is a better option because in M series cameras you don't have much native lens options, but in Sony you have tons and tons of options from third party and also the native lenses. So is this camera still relevant in 2022? I would say yes. The flip out screen, the nice image quality, and the compact form factor and the ability to use all the Sony lenses makes this a great choice of camera if you want to enter the world of mirrorless photography. Alright guys, I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, like and share it, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and don't forget to press the notification icon. I will see you in a new video.